point when the cost of doing nothing becomes greater than the cost of trying to do something. Leadership is not about choosing what is comfortable. It is about choosing what is necessary. And so, we have chosen to act, not for ourselves, not for political advantage, but for Kenya. Our commitment is not in words alone. It is also in deeds. I remember very well when we discussed this both in the NADCO framework and also in the 10-point agenda UDA ODM framework. And I remember the occasion that has been spoken to by the Honorable Junet and the Honorable Oburu. When I had occasion with the late Prime Minister Raila Odinga, and when I told him that I had made the decision because of the consultations we had had, that it was time to compensate the victims and to set up a framework for reparations. And he encouraged me and he told me, Mr. President, this is the right thing to do. And let's do it now. I remember also that subsequently, when I issued the proclamation, Professor Makau here, who rarely asks for my time, asked for an opportunity to see me. And he came and we sat down, I think somewhere in there, here, and he told me, Mr. President, I never knew that you would agree to do this, because in many respects, it amounts to admission by you and government. And so I told him, we have buried our heads in the sand for far too long. And it's time for us as a nation, and for me as the leader of the nation, to stand up, own up, and do something about it. That is why, through Gazette Notice number 12002 of 2025 and other instruments, I set in motion the process of compensating victims of protests and public unrest. As part of that process, I appointed a distinguished panel chaired by Professor Makau Mutua, honoring a commitment that I had made together with my friend, the late former Prime Minister Raila Odinga, that we would not merely speak about this issue, but walk the journey to its conclusion. I tasked the panel with helping us confront a challenge that Kenya had carried for far too long, and with developing a framework that would place victims, justice, accountability, and national reconciliation at its center. Subsequently, the court directed that the framework be developed by the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights. And that is why today we gather to launch the fruit of that work. And as was said earlier, I subsequently issued Presidential Proclamation number 1 of 2026 in accordance with Article 2542 of the Constitution, charging the Kenya National Human Commission on Human Rights with the responsibility of developing and submitting a framework to guide the provision of compensation for victims of human rights violations, including those arising from public protests. The proclamation was subsequently published as Kenya Gazette number 3114.